All right, Doc. All right. You're the good one. You're the good one, right?
So they say.
So they say. All right. Well, what happened, you know, is that you need to introduce yourself. That all of us know who Dr. Hickling is, the various entrepreneurial activities that you're running, and then we're going to kick it right in.
Okay,
No
well,
blur lines.
Who is Dr. Hickling? Well, first of all, I'm a university lecturer. I have to say that first, because that's the day job. But in terms of some of the activities that I do and have done that are entrepreneurial nature, from TV was liberalized in the 1990s. I was an independent television producer, and what that means is that I wasn't necessarily working for a particular one of the largest stations. I had my own outfit, and I was doing production and creating television programs and so on. So that has never left me. That's in my heart, deep in my heart. But then since then, I've done a number of other things. The latest business that I've started is a company called INK and VISION Ltd. And it's a company that facilitates creatives. So it helps creative practitioners to deal with some of the organizational things that they might find difficult. Because we're going to talk today about the fact that, you know, there are many people who kind of try to push creative people into an entrepreneurial space. And there are people who argue that, you know, they have to be entrepreneurs in order to survive. But I look at it a little differently. So we're going to quarrel a little bit today, Delroy.
Well, I first want to get out. When we say creative, exactly what, but that's quite a bit of problem. Delroy, what is creative? So, join the show and you will know.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. All right. So in the 1990s, there emerged this concept of a creative economy, which basically said that people who worked within creative and artistic fields were now contributing to the economy so it became an economic endeavor. And they coined the name creatives for those individuals who worked within that economy. So we're talking about, I've counted in total about 20 sectors in Jamaica that count as creatives. Talking about advertising, music, architecture is included in creative, sport is included in the creative sector in some countries. Different countries
okay.
classify it in different ways.
They use different metrics.
Visual arts, all the people who you see doing digital stuff are creatives, animators, the people who do the makeup for the people in the videos, the people who create the designers. So it's a range. There are about 20. And then, because nowadays we're looking at creatives differently, we're not just looking at those people who are the actual makers of creative goods and products and services, but those people who support them. So you might have, in the creative sector, you also have like the entertainment lawyers. You will have those specialist accountants, because you have those people who specialize in accounting for creative products and projects. You will have the agents, those people who represent individuals, and the managers and the publicists and the all the people who support that creative ecosystem, because I say that creatives need to have a certain set of people around them in order for them. Yeah. So they have to have a good lawyer, they have to have a good accountant. Yeah, they have to have a manager, depending on the stage that they're at. They should really have a business manager separate from their road manager, separate from there may be a manager who manages their personal affairs. But that's when we're talking the top 5% now. One of that top 5%, and we don't think about what does it take for somebody at the very bottom is a bad word, but I mean, it's not a word that I like, but at the very base of the sector, what does it take for somebody like that to make it to the top 5%? And that's where the challenge is. That's where the challenge is, because we have those people who are doing really well, the coffees of this world, the proteges of this world, and all of those individuals who have performed at a stellar level and represented Jamaica, and we know their names and we know who they are. But that's the top 5%. You have 95% of, yeah.
So how INK and VISION?
Yeah.
How INK and VISION is steering the creatives now to access to funding or to produce their work and stuff like that.
All right. So
I'm creating a
VISION at the moment. INK and VISION, right, is at the moment we provide organizational services. So we have two main programs, and our main program is one that is called Accounting for Creatives. We have a number of creative clients who they are deathly afraid of the numbers. They want to have nothing to do. They want to create. They want to spend their time making their music. They want to spend their time making their craft and so on. And so they want to have somebody that they can trust to help them through and their accounting systems. Somebody that will hold their hand. Now, when I tell you, there are some creatives who they have anxiety attacks. They have palpitations just to come to you to talk about issues of accounting, because, I mean, and you have to tell them very simple things. When you get the receipt from the gas station, when you got to the gas station, you must get a receipt first, right? You don't just go and leave there, right? You have to go get the receipt and then just get an envelope and put the name of the month, January, and put the January receipts in there. Little things like that we coach them through. Yeah. Okay.
So you are saying that side of the accounting for creatives, the only thing they're interested in is to focus on their core competence. Just focus on that.
Well, there are different. Well, one of the things about creatives, they're not what we say monolithic. They're not all the same. There are some creatives who are very business oriented and are very entrepreneurial. But then there are those who really just want want to be able to and should have the opportunity to focus on their art. So I want to ask you a question, Delroy. And here is a question. Can you read a music manuscript?
I've never seen one.
Right. Can you read a balance sheet?
If I can do that?
Huh?
Very well. Very well.
Can you read one?
Very well.
Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is a balance sheet and a music manuscript, they are both technical documents, and the ability to read one doesn't make you smarter than your ability to read the other, because the musician can read these notes on a paper and make music from it. You can read numbers on a paper and make from it, right? So none is more important than the other. They're different skill sets. And so I am not forcing you to read a manuscript. Why should I force the musician to read a balance sheet? Well, there must be somebody who can support him through that. Very clear. But it doesn't make, and this is because with disrespect and with less count, my grandmother used to use that word, less count. With less count creatives, right? We believe that it is more important to know how to read the balance sheet than it is to read the music manuscript, and that it is no big deal. Although people spend the same 20 years learning how to read a music manuscript than the 5 years that them learn how to read a balance sheet, So these are some of the issues that creatives.
What you're saying is that INK and VISION for you as an entrepreneur is a perfect support system for creatives who want to do them things.
We offer them an opportunity opportunity to come in and to guide them towards particular things. So we will guide them in a particular way that will tell them that you need to start your accounting. So we nurture our clients. We don't bang them over the head with a sales pitch. Basically, what we're saying to them is, listen, you want to move from step A to step B, you have to do certain things. So I would say that yes, INK and VISION would be a place to start. There are other intermediaries, they call them creative intermediaries, that exist, and other individuals who provide creative services, agencies and so on. And they will provide from booking services right through to publicity services. But we know that there is a big gap in the market for things like accounting and contracts. So a lot of cultural and creative individuals, they're a little afraid of getting involved in contracts and contracting. We will do their negotiations for them because we talk some of the language that they may not necessarily want to be able to talk. I can come to you at your day job and have a discussion with you about particular things to do with business on behalf of and I can go and I can collect money on behalf of a person who can't get it, because when I walk into a particular place and smile nicely, and then I'll be able to collect money they've not been able to collect for months. So these are some of the things that we do for them. However,
well, guys,
not just me, it's a team of us that do different things.
Well, guys, tonight you have lecturer and entrepreneur Dr. Hickling Gordon taking out all the blur lines of creative work and all of those things and making it simple for creatives. So welcome, Money Matters fam. Welcome, Ben. I know it's kind of like a dipping. The connection is not too, but we're going to make it through as Money Matters. Persistence is what going to carry us. That won't drop off or anything. So we're going to stay right on board. So you have been able to provide a medium for the success of creatives, and they must be appreciating it, right? No.
Well, we're
I really want to see.
We haven't been at it for a long time, but we do have some success people. We have people that we have taken from fear and to complete compliance. So there are some people. So we have some success stories. They're not dramatic, but we take people one at a time. You know.
See a comment there, Ricky. Ricky is saying that what you are doing is that you are allowing the creatives to stay in their lane while you manage things for them. And I think it's a mega move that. Allow them to earn even more. They give you some services and you execute. So I agree, Ricky.
Sorry, I had to plug in my phone. It was dying.
Yes. So welcome guys. As I said, we are in tonight. We're taking out all the blur out of the creativity, what the creative sector means, what it has been contributing, and I get to understand. Manners Delray, respect all this. And I get to understand that millions of dollars flowing in Jamaica. So you take them through. So do you encourage them to like form a company, even as a sole trader?
Absolutely. We are into formalization, but here's the thing now. I'm doing a project now that is making this very, very clear. When you are talking about formalization for many creative individuals, you're really trying to take them kicking and screaming to a place that they don't want to be. Or they can least afford to be. They cannot afford it, and there's some real issues with regards to compliance and affordability and the real ability to play, because many are subsistence individuals. But we do try to move them along, and we promote the notion of becoming compliant and becoming registered, because we see the benefits. We show them the benefits, and because the market is becoming so much more formalized, you can't get a bank account unless you have a particular level of not only compliance, but you are registered. Yeah, you can't you can't get government jobs. There's particular jobs you can't get if you don't have a TCC, and so we're clear about those issues. We think that some of them are stringent, and we think that there are some things that can be done over a period of time while we're onboarding the cultural and creative industries into the economy, by the government to kind of relax some of the things in order to bring more people into the economy, into the formal economy. But the other thing is that we don't disrespect those people who are outside of the formal economy, because those are the majority of the creatives, and they have more money than you and I. So they are more liquid than we are, right? So
it's funny that you raise that point, because
that informal economy that in some ways is supporting the formal economy and allowing it to, to be able to operate.
Okay.
I'm not an economist, so but it's just kind of common sense.
All right, Doc, you touch on a point, and I'm in the funding space, and from time to time you hear, boy, creatives can't get money to borrow because they don't have nothing as security. Are you encountering that as a problem? And is there a way that we can work together to make sure that the material is out there?
Absolutely. Let me tell you now. I was at a place, I used to work at a place one time, and this gentleman came to see a very high-powered woman that I used to work with. And in meeting with her, he said to her, he's an artist, a visual artist, a very famous visual artist. He's now passed. And he said to her, I cannot, if I take my art to the bank and to use it as collateral, I cannot get a loan. But if somebody comes and collects 5 pieces of my art and take them to the bank, they can get millions and millions of dollars. They can use my art as collateral, but I can't use it because the bank is telling me that is me draw it, is me paint it. And this is a world famous art. I'm not talking about, a kind of, somebody who isn't well known. So there is a thing called the security interest in intellectual property. I think it is the SIPS, this SIPPS.
In personal property.
Yeah,
in personal property. Yeah, in personal property.
And that legislation allows the banks to use intellectual property as collateral for loans. But how many banks know how to use it? How many banks know how to implement it? How many banks understand it? How many banks have tried? I really want to know those numbers. I would love to know how many banks have literally taken a catalog of programs, a catalog of art, a catalog of music, a catalog, whatever it is, yeah, and said to them, let's try to get this valued, because this is the problem, getting it valued. But there are people who can do it, and there are methodologies globally that can be implemented to do it, but it's really about will. It's a big problem. I've been interviewing people for this project to try to find out. They cannot get through the door. You see the Rasta man come through the door, and already the lady in the bank starts to skin up her nose. It's a real thing. You see when the person put musician on the thing, and you ask, and you look back at the inflows into their account. So they got a big job on Sunsplash and them earn $1 million, but them don't earn anything again until October when it's Heroes Day, and then they earn $1 million. That presents a risk for the bank. So it seems to me that the financial institutions can do things like create instruments that take these risks and patterns into account.
It requires
to happen.
It requires specialized intervention with particular products, and I represent a financial institution. It is no easy way, because the truth about creative, until someone pays you for it, it's just a reality. So if you price a painting for
You
if you
broke up,
price a
Della, I didn't
painting,
hear you.
okay, I said until someone buys, until a trade take place, it's basically zero. Because if you have something and you think you paint the best thing and no one comes along to buy it, it's zero. So until a commercial exchange take place, you don't really know the value.
You that there is no demand for creative products. So that is one of the issues that exists within the cultural and creative industries. That simply means that, as you said, until I don't get up needing to go and watch a movie, but I may want to watch a movie and I may not have that want until Friday evening at 5 o'clock, and I don't even realize that I want to have it. So there's no demand prior, and I don't must have it like I need toilet paper and I need chicken, right? So it's essentially because there's no demand for the products, it creates a greater risk for those people who are managing resources. So but across the world, we know what the value of cultural and creative activities are. We know what people are earning from them. We know what a movie should cost. We know what a movie star earns. We know what a musician earns. So I mean, and that's where the actuaries live, in these organizations. So let's put those actuaries work to do some creative work. Let's ask them to create some opportunities and create some ways of meeting the creative sector halfway. That's all we're asking, to come to the table.
I will kickstart it from where I sit in the private sector world. I will surely make sure that we open the door, find some particular product, some niche product, and try to roll it. That's a promise I'm making to you publicly.
You want that? I'm going to hold you to it. You're not just going to come in there and talk about it. I'm going to be there to hold you to it. Right to the end.
Well, what happened is that I had actually had Karina Rose on the program last year, and she's an author. She does books. She's into radio. She's into TV. She's that sort of person. And I got a DM about 3 weeks ago that how you don't bring on anybody from the creative side because they're having it hard with the lockdown. There was no work for them and stuff like that. And I'm saying that the economy will reopen soon. And the
economy has reopened and has stayed open for many other sectors. So that's a part of the issue. It has stayed closed for this creative sector, whereas every other or many other sectors within the economy have opened. Now, I'm not asking for a Super Bowl event where, which is a super spreader, but there are ways in which we can open slowly and safely that can get the actors back to work, that can get the musicians back to work. Isn't there a lobby group? Isn't there a lobby group now for entertainers that will be pressing the government to reopen these things and reopen fast? Because this is basically passing. A lot of countries now reopening full. England is doing it. A couple countries, they said we finished with COVID. Well, you see, but they have 80% and 90% vaccination and all of those things. But these are a whole other set of issues. Yes, people are opening, and there are ways to do it. And I think we have to find those ways to get them done and sit together. Yes, about a lobby group. That's a whole other thing with cultural and creative industries. We've moved into a kind of era where individualization has become a big part of the cultural and creative industries. So forming groups, there are issues of trust, there are, lots of little challenges, and we cost the creatives just as much as we cost those people for the creatives, to say to them it is time that they get into bargaining units so that they can hold private sector, public sector accountable on behalf of what they want. It's not going to happen unless they do that. But there's some problems. These organizations form and there's no money to maintain them, and they fall apart. You have to go, make a living, literally. So it kind of, lots of issues there.
Well, You know, one of the things, I have been through many collective discussion from various things, whether it be microfinancing or Cambio Association or whatever, remittance, whatever it is. And there is nothing that gives or get attention like a collective group of people coming together and say, look here, let us advocate.
You're preaching to the choir. I have formed and reformed a couple of organizations. I continuously encourage people to become involved. It takes time, and there are some reforms that are happening, and it's not going to happen overnight. But yeah, it will happen eventually, because I think people have come to recognize that there's strength in numbers. And we'll see how it goes, but there are a number of us who are pushing in that direction.
Well, you know, there are a couple of takeaways from the pandemic, and one of the big takeaway from the pandemic is to show that coming together instead of being apart really help. Where you have to, you know, have a force behind you and a momentum to go forward when you're that.
In creativity, it's funny you say that, because by our natural proclivity as creatives, we know that we have to work together. Because many of the jobs that we do require teamwork. You can't have a performance without a stage manager, a costume person, the musicians, the actors, everybody, right? So we work in teams, yeah, naturally. When there's revenue, especially when there's revenue or when there's value to be had, it may not necessarily be money, but when there's value to be had, the challenge is sometimes maintaining these organizations. I've been at the helm of several, and I know other people who have been at the helm of several, and just to try to keep it going, plus to keep food on your table, it's difficult, you know. It's a challenge.
Do you have a high migration rate? So people keep going why the organization don't keep together, because people better offers going to greener pastures and keep going? Is that one of the reasons?
The truth of the matter is that a lot of these things that we say are anecdotal. I would say that I think that there is a great migration rate, and those who can do leave. And I have a friend, you see. She is a creative in fashion, and her husband is a fine artist, and they migrated to Canada maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And they were barely scrimping, barely, you know, just kind of making it along. And when I see the stuff that he's doing, he has thrived because he's in an enabling environment. As an artist, they have all sorts of programs that they can put you on. They give you studio space. You can get on a program for a year, and the work, you can see his spirit coming out in his work in ways that he was dying. I mean, his spirit was crippled while he was here, because we have to figure out whether we have a retarding environment or an enabling environment in Jamaica, and we need to choose what we want, and we need to, you know, kind of we need to move towards what is required. Yeah, we need to decide what it is we want for our creatives. And this is a big collective decision. And we need to start with a development trajectory, which means that, okay, we have the 5%. We have this top 5% that is doing well. I said so before. But we need now, in the same way that we do education and sport, that we start with the JCDC young ones, and we find somewhere to throughput them to. Right, so there's an art school, and then some way that they can matriculate into Edna Manley or other programs. But we need to put in place a development model for cultural and creative industry.
All right, so we need more facilities. We need more facilities.
Yes, man. Infrastructure is a huge part of the process of cultural and creative industries development. There are 10 enabling environment factors.
So what about it?
Say again?
What about the university probably putting together a program that would fund whether you want to carry stock exchange, of the Jamaica Stock Exchange or something, and get investors to back it. Because it's one thing, you know, investors will back anything that them think going to ring the machine, you know. And with so much creative and so much money going around, a pool of investors might just come together. And so I really need to talk to you. I really need to talk to you after the year.
Long time.
Well, family, we are up on our 30 minutes. Dr. Hickling Gordon has left no area blurred according to our introductory song, right? And what you're going to give us is a few takeaways. So, Doc, you need to just give us a few takeaways. I will say out when you give us the takeaways.
Well, first I would say to the creatives that they have to find ways to become compliant, and they need to find ways to register and enter the formal economy. I encourage it because I think it is a way to go to grow, but I understand why people are reticent. I would also say to the public sector that we need to be moving more towards an enabling environment rather than a retarding environment. It's too hard to do business, particularly as a creative in Jamaica. And then the third thing that I would say is that we need a development trajectory for cultural and creative industries that starts with education and starts with a process that will throughput individuals from the little ones and those coming out of church choir and those who are in the communities and those who exist in, you know, in places, you know, where they're having a challenge, and they can move through the system and know that there is another phase that they can move to that will help them to realize their dreams. That's it. Those are the three things that are required.
I'm going to leave you with a word of encouragement, because anything is possible. The Disability Act came in effect last week, Monday, where workplace and all of those things don't have to retrofit to deal with the disabilities, right? No, it took a long time. It took a long time.
What I understand, but no buts. We're looking forward to seeing things happen. We need to see things move.
All right. So, Doc, we're going to move on to another end of the show. We are happy you took the time out to come to us. There is no blur line in where the creatives going. Now we understand what creatives mean.
Only more to talk about. We'll do it another time.
All right, Doc. Well, Money Matters will welcome you because we are appreciative of your time. All your fans that were on tonight, we say a big thank you, and we catch you. Thanks to everyone from Doc's side. Thanks everyone for participating. Money Matters out.
Bye.
All right, Doc. Thank you.